pat on brands. Watch how you branded, man. A pat on the back is a pat from the man. Better be branded, man. A pat from the pat is a pat on the brand.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Good afternoon and welcome to the finale of Pat on Brands Dialogue Imbokodo Edition. In case you missed it, for the month of August, the Pat on Brands have really specifically dedicated this platform to a series of much needed conversations with trailblazers, with young, dynamic, phenomenal women who continue to break the barriers and shatter glass ceilings in their industries. Now, we've heard a couple of conversations between these women reflecting on their personal journeys, reflecting on their careers, on leadership, as well as their industry. If you missed it, make sure that you catch it on the Pat on Brands social media platform, specifically on YouTube. But thank you so much, Thokozani, for actually allowing us this platform for women to actually amplify our voices and to have much needed conversations. My name is Nandi Jiyane, and today I have the pleasure and the honor of engaging with a woman who is full of passion, with a woman that dances like nobody is watching. A seasoned marketer, a seasoned marketer who is the group executive for marketing and corporate affairs at Nedbank. I'm talking to none other than Kensi Nobanda. She has a career that spans over 19 years in the marketing industry, working across a number of local and multinational organizations. Her first marketing role was at Unilever, where her career culminated in her running a skin category for running in the skin category for Unilever in Africa, Middle East, Turkey, whilst based in Dubai. She also holds a BCom from WITS, majoring in marketing and information systems, and an MBA from Gibbs. Now, prior to joining Nedbank, she was the marketing executive for Vodacom and held a senior position role in SA Breweries as well as Unilever itself. Now, Kensi is passionate about brands, especially brands that are purpose-led and that embody that purpose in everything they do. And today, you're going to truly experience that passion from her. Thank you so much, Kensi, for joining us. What an honor to have you on the finale of the Pat on Brands Dialogues. We are so excited to have you here, but I want to ask you how you are. How are you doing? How have you been doing this time?
So Nandi, after that introduction, I'm fantastic. I think we can end and I can go. No, I'm actually really good. I think I'm very circumspect about, being where I am and having the privilege of, having a job, being able to still do a lot of what I can do, helping my family. So, when I consider all of those things, I'm very good because, to be honest, I think the things I miss are nice life problem things, right? So, yeah, I think if I look at it in context, I would say I'm very good. How are you, Nandi?
I am good. I am likewise very happy to still have a job. I think there's so much that has been happening during this time that, more than anything, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for good health. I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for family. And I'm very grateful that we got this opportunity to chat to you, especially during these times. There's a lot of women and men, I think, who are also online, who would like to know a little bit about you. So I'd like to tell me your story. Take me back. Who is Kensi? Where are you from? How did you end up in the marketing and communication space? And what is your alma mater?
Okay, cool. So I'm South African, but I wasn't born in South Africa. I was born in, I guess, previously known as Swaziland, so Eswatini. My mom's half Portuguese, half Swati, and she was from Swaziland. My dad is from Soweto, Orlando, and he was in the MK. So he went into exile. He met my mom in Swaziland. They fell in love, and I'm the firstborn out of that. So my younger years, I spent most of them in Swaziland. So although I'm Xhosa, given that my dad is Xhosa, I consider myself Swati, to be honest, because that's sort of a lot of the cultural influences and just the life that I grew up with. And I speak Swati fluently, whereas I can't, maybe ngathi Jonga, but that's probably all I can say or something. So I consider myself Swati. Studied, as I said, so my primary and high school in Swaziland. Was very fortunate because my dad was in the MK to have lived in a couple of other countries, so Mozambique, Zambia, because I think it played a massive role in just the type of person that I am just as an adult. I'm very curious. I love new cultures. I can easily go, I love traveling. So I think that open-mindedness came from, my childhood. I think it was in 95, we moved, or 94, I can't remember the years that well, we moved back to South Africa. I did 1 year at Morecambe Park High School. So I'd done my O levels in Swaziland, but South Africa was like, you can't go to varsity, you have to do your A levels or do matric. So my mom said, you know what, fine, let's just do matric. So I did matric 1 year. Then I went to Wits. So you ask me how I ended up in marketing. So to be honest, I wanted to be a lawyer. And my parents were just like, nah, you're not going to make any money. Like, so they basically got all these people who were actually working in law to convince me not to do law. So when I signed up to do a BCom at Wits, to be honest, wasn't clear what I wanted to do with it. I knew I didn't want to be a CA. So I was one of the few people in accounting one who, when they asked, do you want to be CAs? I was the one who was like, I'm very clear, I don't want to be an accountant. Like, so that was, just from the onset. I actually only discovered marketing in my second year, and it was an absolute coincidence. I really was fretting about, what am I going to major in? I had done commercial law because I thought, well, I'm still going to be a lawyer, but I'll do comm law. And I was like, there is no way I can do this, as a future career. And my dad, I was also doing information systems. So my dad was like, computers, lots of money there, go do computers, that sort of thing. But I mean, just my first sort of information systems 1 class, I knew I did not want to work in this as well. So you can tell, I'm very clear about what I want or don't want. Like I knew upfront, this is not going to work for me, but I'll do it because here's my dad, they want me to do it. So for my second year, where I had to register for my second year course, someone suggests to me that, why don't you try marketing? I think you've got the personality for it. So I just assumed marketing was like, you had to be artistic, right? Draw, creative. And I was like, I don't think I'm that. They were like, no, man, it's not that. Like, just, check it out. So I signed up for it. And very clearly in my first marketing class, I knew this is what I wanted to do. I knew I'd found my career. So it was just fantastic. So with that, got my first job at Unilever. And then, obviously, so you've described my career. So from Unilever, went to Diageo. At the time, it was Brand House, to look after Smirnoff vodka. I don't know why they paid me for that. I would have done it for free, personally. And got promoted actually pretty quickly, like to Smirnoff ready to drinks marketing manager. Unilever asked me to come back, so went back. At the age of 25, was category director for the tea category, so looking after Joko, Glen, and Lipton. And then went to Dubai for 3 years, managing the tea category for Africa, Middle East, and Turkey. Had a bit of a personal, which we can chat about later, but like a little bit of a personal sort of trying to find myself, and a lot of things that happened to me. So I took a break from working for 6 months, joined SAB after that. And when I left SAB, I was general manager for Hansa Pilsner, then joined Vodacom, heading up their post-paid, so contracts, marketing, and high-value team, and then joined Nedbank, which is where I am now.
Wow. I love what you said in the beginning that, you were studying, and so many of these things, you actually have to try out things to understand what you don't like and what is definitely not for you, to find something that is for you. And I look at 2020, you're very stable now. I'd like to think, or are you stable now in your,
Yes.
in your role as a marketer? We had so many plans, gosh, for 2020. Where to start. 2020 was supposed to be the year for 2020 vision.
2020.
We had written our goals and it was down in our diaries, and we have seen the most devastating things happen to us that we were actually not ready. And some of the things that it's been exceptionally tough for a lot of people, from an emotional perspective, from a financial perspectives, on individuals across the world. And during this time, we've really had to adapt. And I love what you were talking about in your career, that you had to find yourself, and you had to take a break and say, actually, no, I need to take a break. I need to review what this is. And this is the time that COVID-19 or this pandemic has really brought on us. I want to know, how have you been surviving this time? How have you been surviving COVID-19? How have you been making this new normal work for you?
Yeah, so maybe I can start from a work perspective. I've always been a believer in, what's called work-life integration, which is you can work anytime, anywhere, as long as your output is, makes sense in the context of what you've signed up for with the company. So I'll travel. I'll be like taking a train from Champagne to Paris, and I'm on leave, but I'm working and I've got, a nice glass of champagne next to me and stuff. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't feel like it's encroaching my time, because, by the way, sometimes I'll be in the office and at about literally 12 o'clock, I decide I'm actually going out to have lunch, and that's it with work. So I believe in making work for you in the context of what you need to deliver and the life that you want to lead. So me working from home was actually just very easy, because, again, just to that very point, I generally do that. If I've got a day that doesn't have any meetings or whatever, I just, I say to my team, to my PA, working from home today. So that wasn't a problem. I definitely miss the team connections, and we tried to do some of them online, and we had Chester missing on one meeting, giving us a lot of jokes and stuff. So I mean, it's not as easy. So you do miss, and obviously I take a lot of energy from people. So when I'm in meetings, I love seeing how people react and the energy and all of that, and that spirals me as well. So I miss a lot of that. But and I think for us, from a work perspective, when you talk about plans and all of that, we were right in the middle of a campaign that we were doing for Nedbank Cup when COVID-19 hit. And I think we're like 2-3 weeks in it. We had to completely scrap that, because the messaging we had at that moment just wasn't relevant for the time. And we literally, that first month especially, we literally created 13 ads in 3 weeks. And so it was a pretty hectic time. But it was good. It got me into the mode, and I think got most of the team into the mode of how to work and stuff. I think personally, it was actually funny, because I got married in October last year. And now, my husband and I, all of a sudden, and he'd proper broken his leg. And, normally, so I don't know how to cook. Like when I was a child, and my parents tried to teach me how to cook, I just told them I wasn't interested. My dad was like, what are you going to eat when you're like an adult? I said, McDonald's, just leave me alone, which is literally what I did, So, with my husband, he's the one who normally cooks, and he's really good at it. But when he broke his foot, it was very rough, because there was no Uber Eats, there was none of that. So I had to learn how to cook. So that's something I did during lockdown, which was very cool. But it also brought us closer just as a couple, given that I would be thinking, so 24 hours, man, this person is right next to me and stuff. But, it actually helped us in the context of our relationship. And then I think other personal things, I used to be a strongly avid runner. I used to run marathons and half marathons and all of that. I got injured about 3 years ago, and I stopped running. So COVID actually, funnily enough, I used to literally run around in the garden in the house, and I would put in 5 kilometers just from that. So COVID has helped actually bring back, I don't think I'm ever going to do marathons again. I just don't have time for that anymore. But I just think getting to do between 5-10 kilometers, it's just something that, COVID helped me with. I generally anyway read a lot. So, but I think I significantly actually upped my reading, which was fantastic. But I think the thing that I'm passionate about, and you and I were chatting and you were telling me that you used COVID to start the Women Leadership South Africa program. So for me, it actually allowed me to focus again on some of the things that I've been absolutely passionate about. So one of the reasons I took a sabbatical actually was my brother passed away. So it was about 10 years ago, and it hit me really hard. And I'm actually in the middle of starting a foundation in his name, which we've spoken with the school that he was going to before when he passed away, and we're in the middle of registering it. So I'm very happy actually, because I feel like COVID gave me the space to be able to do some of the things that I'm really passionate about. And then I'm a lover of wine. So my friends of mine, we've started a small wine business on the side during this time. So like I said, I think I was very circumspect at the beginning of it, where I thought I can be in the doldrums, I can be depressed, or I can use this time to really reflect and do what I need and what I would love to do. And I get that not a lot of people had the opportunity to do that. They lost jobs or their income went down. So I'm very fortunate that I was able to do all of these things, through this time. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about the time where you took some time off. I think you said that you were in Dubai and you decided, you know what, I just need a break. Take me through some of that experience. What actually got you to say, you know what, Yazin, I just need a break from everything? What got you to say that and to actually decide that you're going to stop working for a while? And what did you get up to during that time?
So funnily enough, one of the misconceptions that people have about female leaders, right? They'll be like, oh, I hate, like, especially black, like women will be like, oh, I don't want to have a female boss. Oh my God, I hate. My worst boss was a guy. Like, let me tell you, like, it was. So I don't believe at all in this narrative about, how female leaders or female bosses show up. So at that time, like I said, I was managing skin category for Africa, Middle East, and Turkey. It was insane. I mean, I was literally on a flight probably like every 2 weeks. I was, and because I was on the global teams for a lot of these brands, I was in New York, I was in London, I was in Singapore. It was like insane. And it's very cool at the beginning. You're like on business class, you become one of the top Emirates, flyers and all of that. It's a lot of fun, but it takes its toll on you. And I had a boss who was a guy who was incredibly ambitious, like, and his ambition, I think, almost made him block just empathy, to be honest, right? Like, because you just, your ambition can blind you sometimes. You don't realize what's happening with people around you. So as I was under all this pressure. I'm traveling so much. We're trying to launch Vaseline in Nigeria. We're doing this there, with this there. It's me and my team of 17 people. But it's still a lot. You're managing this entire, class. And I just was feeling run down. I was feeling unappreciated. No matter what I did, it was just never good enough, because for him, he wanted the region must be number one, must beat America, Europe, da da da. And it's like, okay, we get that. Like,
he was all about the result.
Yeah. So, and I got it. I got it. I don't understand it. I have no sympathy for it, but like, that's what he wanted to run Unilever globally. So his ambition, I think, just took over. So I remember just talking to my friends, telling my family, I really hate my job now. Like, I would literally see a TV ad that we'd done on TV, and I would fast forward it, because I couldn't even stand to see my own work. The whole thing just wasn't working for me. So my brother, who was 19 years old at the time, and I just remember he said to me, but like, why don't you just resign? I was like, this 19-year-old boy, like, how do you think you just resign and leave a job? It doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? So I said, no, Alex, I can't just resign. Like, things don't work like that. And it wasn't, and in fact, when I had that conversation with him, I'd come to South Africa for the opening of the World Cup. So I remember the date so well. It was literally the beginning of June. And then I watched a couple of games. I went back to Dubai, and then I came back for the finals. And so he literally passed away on the day of the World Cup finals in South Africa. And that entire experience just overwhelmed me so much. So firstly, I spent another 3 weeks in South Africa, and I'm glad I was home. I'm the eldest at home. So, my parents completely fell apart. And because my brother was killed, and we still don't know who killed him, it actually just took its toll on the family, So I'm glad I was actually home during that time, because one, I just wouldn't have understood it, I think, if my parents explained what had happened to my brother. But, you realize he's 19 years old. He passes away so quickly. Here I am doing this job that I actually hate. Like, forget, don't like. I've got a boss who not supportive of me. My body is taking a battering just from, and not like a physical one, but emotional one. But my body's reacting, physically. I just remember reflecting and thinking, I just don't understand why I would continue to do this. You live this life, you do these jobs, you put yourself 100% into it, and then you die. It's just like, I need to live a life that makes sense for me. But before I could even get there, so this was July, took probably 3 weeks in South Africa, went back, resigned in November. Unilever then asked me to stay for a little bit, just, for a handover and all of that thing, which I did until February in 2011. And then I just, had nothing. And, in South Africa, my car, when I'd left, I'd given it to my mom, and I was like, I don't want it back. I had 2 properties that were being rented out, but I couldn't even move back into them. And I said to my parents, I'm moving back home. My parents were so happy. So before I came home, I went to Ethiopia, and I climbed the Simien Mountains in Ethiopia, which is like, basically the third highest peak on the continent of Africa. I went to Syria, I went to Jordan, and my mom always used to say, can you please stop traveling to these places there on CNN, right? Like, because at that time, it was just around Arab Spring, right? And a lot of things were happening in the Middle East. So yeah, I literally just took time for myself, traveling on my own, and I'm a very fancy traveler. I literally cut all of that out. It was just me, just traveling on my own, buying the local beer instead of champagne. I just told myself I just wanted it to be a period of reflection. And part of that reflection was, do I still want to be in marketing? And I answered myself, which was yes. But the most important part of it is, how do I want work to look like for me? And I answered those questions for myself, and I decided, when I go back into corporate, this is how I'm going to work. And if people don't agree with that, if the company doesn't agree with that, I'm out. Like, it's just, and that period also taught me that as successful as I can become and, have all of these things, I'm very happy to move back home if things don't work out for me. Like, I'll just go to my mommy and my daddy. And now I told my husband that. I said, baby, I'm just like coming home and just staying at home. Like, it's really about self-care and just knowing that you cannot put yourself in a situation that impacts you in that way. And I understand that, because I've got parents and they could take care of me. Not a lot of people have those options, but I can tell you, it was not an easy decision. But I know now the reason I am the way I am, even with, people are like, you're very carefree. You seem to just, because I know I'm okay to leave. Like, it's fine. And I'll survive.
Yeah, Kensani, I love that you spoke about empathy, and I love that you spoke about your boss, your then boss. And I want to know the whole experience that you had, with that boss at that time, especially because you were going through a lot during that time. How important is empathy, and how did those experiences, having a boss like that, how has it shaped you to being the leader that you are? And how are you with your people, and how important is empathy? I mean, we're looking at COVID-19, and COVID-19 has really begged for leaders, especially, to be more vulnerable, to be more empathetic towards the people that they're leading. How has that experience shaped you? But also, how important is empathy in leadership?
I think as women, as a starting point, we're very lucky, because inherently, we have empathy. And not all women, obviously, but like, just think most women inherently, we've got empathy. But that experience made me realize that as ambitious as I am, as much as I want to be successful, I cannot do it at the detriment of other people, whether it's my team or my peers or whoever. It will never be at the detriment of other people. So that's just something that I hold on to. I have to say, Nandi, like, COVID has been, from a team perspective, probably one of my toughest, challenging leadership moments. Just starting from the moment when I called my entire team into, this room to tell them that we'd be working from home. That moment was actually very emotional for me, and it felt like I was sending my troops out to war, and I'm not going with them. Like, what, And none of us had any idea how things were going to play out, what was going to happen. Honestly, I feel like that moment it felt like history, like I was standing there and telling them that. But what I have found through lockdown is every week I've had to call someone in my team to pass condolences, and it has been the most, like, just shattering emotional experience. I mean, this week alone, I've got a guy in my team who's lost his uncle, his grandfather, and his dad. And it doesn't matter what I say to him, that pain, just lingers on for him, But I understand that, as someone who, you should feel like your leaders care about you. You should feel like they care for how you're feeling. So I have to make that phone call, as much as I know how much it emotionally drains me. And I have to say to him, take as much time as you want and mean it. Because when I say, please don't come to work until you feel like you can, and then have to tell his boss that I've told him this, so please don't expect him at work and stuff. And I think, as women, this is a massive strength of ours, and we must never lose it. We must never try be men, like, for what? When it comes to this, like, be able to have the empathy. And then, my team always loves, I get like, I'm very emotional, that I talk, like if something like sad happens, I get teary. I don't even hide it at work. It doesn't matter. Like, it's just who I am. And, and I think it's part of why I'm successful as a leader, because I think people understand that I care for not just the results, but for the people who are giving us the results. So yeah, I think empathy is very important.
Definitely. I love what you're saying, talking about the natural characteristics that women possess when it comes, and then obviously coming into leadership, how that falls into space. I mean, I look at some of the countries or the nations that are led by women, how successful they have been in fighting COVID-19, so I really do think that women have these characteristics that I wouldn't say men don't have, but it comes so naturally. To us that we're able to lead with compassion, and that also means that our team members are able to since we're vulnerable, are able to relate to us and are able to work better. I mean, I look at it myself and I think I'm having a manager who understands and who's able to say, Nandi, you need to slow down, and they also mean it. It gives me, let me just say, it gives me so much. I feel a sense of like she gets me, but also yes. Thank you for understanding that masisembuya uyazi ukuthi ngizosebenza, and because exactly. Because I know what you said that I need to take care of myself. You're able to say, Nandi, take care of yourself, so that when you come back also you're able to work. So I think it gives us that almost like wanting to be in the organization, because you know that you are valued, and you know that you personally, your emotional state is very important for you, and how it actually impacts on your outcomes. So you speak about some of the successes that you've had, and all these challenges that you've had during your leadership terms. So you've managed to reach your level of success, given the gender gap and all these barriers that we're currently facing, especially as women. I want to know what are some of the characteristics you'd say are necessary for one to consistently be able to propel themselves to the next level and to get into a leadership role? Because right now we're finding that there's so many barriers, but also this is also my other question, with what are the barriers that you have endured during your journey, and how have you overcome them? So the first one would be able to consistently propel yourself to the next level.
Yeah, so I think it's a really good question, and I think obviously all have our own specific challenges, and within that context, but maybe let me talk more broadly about, one of my favorite topics. So what you should learn from men is fearlessness, is what we should learn from men as women. And I'll just give a couple of things that have happened in my life which just make me truly believe in that. So I think firstly, I always see, people who report to me when it comes to performance reviews. I see like the guys walk in and they're honestly performing, like they're doing what is expected of them. And they walk in and say, no, I'm exceeding. I'm like, what? Now I must like try and negotiate you back to performing when actually you're performing. And most of us as women, we walk in, we are exceeding or excelling, like doing really well. And we generally like, no, we're doing okay, we're performing. So as a fundamental thing, I think one of the things us as women is we are a lot more tougher on ourselves, and we don't have the sort of, it's not an ego, I think just that confidence, right? And let me tell you how it's played out for me. So I was very much like that, and I still am, but it's something that I personally have to work on. But when I went to Dubai on my expatriation, I had a guy friend of mine who was going to the UK on an expatriation, same time. When our contracts came, I signed my contract. I was like, oh, yeah, Dubai, I was about 90, like, signed my contract, done. And he's taking time to sign his contract. And I'm just like wondering, like, why is this guy, why are you taking so long? So I asked him and he said, no, I'm still negotiating it. I'm like, what are you negotiating? Like, they put an offer in front of you, it's time to go. And he explains to me the different things that is challenging and all of that. And Nandi, that some of the things he was challenging was spot on. Some of it, like, no, you can't challenge that. But you know what happened for him in the end? He got a higher offer than what had been put on the table. I just got what I got because I signed it. And I just remembered reflecting on that and thinking, okay, so now I was in Dubai, and the vice president of HR at that time, Tsuelo, came through and he said, let's have dinner. So I had dinner with him, and I used the dinner to actually ask him something that was now brewing based on this thing. And I said, do you think as women, we are just a lot more shy and, to put what we want? And he said, absolutely. And you know what he said to me? I'll never forget it. He said, for example, you and so and so. And he literally made the same example. And I was like, what? So I thought, okay. So I came back to South Africa and I took a break from working and all of that. But then SAB made me an offer, right? And in fact, SAB made me an offer before I was even properly on sabbatical. But I was like, guys, I don't know. I don't know if I want to work. Let me just take a break. But anyway, so I get the offer from them. And I'd never had a sign-on bonus my entire life. I did not know. I never had one. So there's a sign-on bonus. Just for the sake of this conversation, let's say it was 10 Rand. So sign-on bonus of 10 Rand. I'm like, yo, sign-on bonus. But I think to myself, okay, wait, before you sign this. So I call this guy friend of mine. And he says, no, man, ask for 20 Rand. God, I can't ask for 20 Rand. He says, Kensi, what's the worst that could happen? The worst that can happen is you get 10 Rand, right? Which you were still going to get. But you might get 20, So I went back and said, okay. And I was very nervous about this. I said, okay, I'm really happy with the offer. Salary this. But on the sign-on bonus, I'd like 20 Rand, They came back a day later and said, yes. I was like, wait, how does this work, And then as I even started the role, I realized that even for the package itself, some of the decisions, some of the things that I signed off to, I'd forgotten that when I was in Dubai, I wasn't paying for housing, I wasn't paying. So actually my take home, I would say, nah, and I decided actually I want more. And I'm literally 3 months in the job and I'm going back to my boss and telling him I want more money. And my boss was like, why? And I explained to him. And then I said to him, this is a deal breaker for me. If you don't come back on this, then, I'm out. And they came back and they gave me an increase. It wasn't as high as what I wanted, but I got an increase. And then maybe the last example I'll make is joining Nedbank. So I joined Nedbank in September 2017. And I joined as an executive head of group marketing. So it's not an exco position. And just before I joined, the guy who had employed me, who was going to be my boss, resigns. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, this guy, I'm going to have to get a new boss and all of that. Then I decide, but maybe I should just go for his job. I haven't started at Nedbank. And I tell my mom that, Mommy, I'm going to apply for this guy's job. Mommy says, Kensi, you haven't even started, you're applying for your boss's job. And then I said to my mom, because this is now a lesson that I was just, I said, Mommy, the worst that can happen is they say no. And I still get this job that I'm going to at Nedbank anyway, that I was very happy to go for. Or I get promoted. And literally that's what happened. So I started in September, and in January, I got told that we're promoting you to the group exco, you're going to head up marketing for the bank and So what I've learned is that being fearless, as much as you've got the sick feeling in your stomach as you do it, as much as I always think about what's the worst that can happen, I'll still have everything I have now, but I could actually have more and better and stuff, right? So I'd rather go for it. And so if there's something we should learn from men, it's just that fearlessness and being able to go for what you want. And then I think the second bit, and it comes up a lot, and it's not just I think a gender thing, it's also a racial thing. We work in organizations where when I speak about transformation, if I look at the organization I work with, Nedbank completely believes and supports transformation. If you look at our exco, 50% of the exco is female, 50% of the exco is Black. And when I say Black, I mean ACI, so African, Colored, and Indian. So it's transformed. If you look at our organization, 80% of the employees are Black. I mean, one of the things we truly believe as a bank is that for us to be a sustainable, successful bank, we need South Africa to be successful and sustainable. And what that looks like is it means diversity, it means transformation, right? But for me, the bigger issue that we have is how are people made to feel in these organizations? Do they feel like they matter? Do they feel like they drive their agenda forward? Do they feel like they are impactful? That for me, I think is the biggest challenge. And I think for us as women, it's even worse, right? So you find yourself so many times in meetings where you say something and someone else says it and says it better than you. and then everyone goes, oh yeah, yes, John. What, John? You're like, oh, okay, fuck, I said it as well. Like, what the hell's up with this and stuff? So, and then you also, you almost lose your confidence in being able to articulate those things because you're like, oh, no one's listening and stuff. But one of the things I've also learned is be clear and purposeful about what you're doing and why you're there. I know my role and what I'm trying to do with the Nedbank brand. I believe in it. And actually, I'm very good at my job. So now what I do is I'm very purposeful in how I show up in those meetings and how I talk about the brand and what I want to do with marketing. And, you know, damned if someone else says it later or whatever, but I'll continue, you know, to harp on it. And actually, for me personally, one of my challenges, I said, I get a lot of energy from people. So if I'm presenting somewhere and I feel like people are not responding to me the way I'd love them to respond, you know, I start losing my confidence. I start then I start almost like not presenting my own story. Then I know very well, I'm like up and down, I'm not doing it well. Again, I go back to be resolute in your purpose and what you're trying to do because you're good at your job. Don't lose. In fact, like if maybe look at one person in the room and stop looking at everyone just so you can, you know, center yourself and say what you need to say. So that like we tend to just be shaken up by things around us if we don't feel like we're part of the conversation or being listened to, or those things shouldn't shake us. I mean, we should be incredibly resolute in what we're trying to do. We should be incredibly resolute in how good we are and in ourselves. Yeah.
I love what you're saying, and almost making sure that you kind of know yourself as well, and being confident. Being confident, part of it means that you know yourself, you know your worth, so that you're able to stand up and you're able to speak with pride, and also know that you know what, people are listening. So I find that once you quite not sure of who you are, people can sense that, and that's when they immediately take advantage of that. And I want to know, don't you ever get moments where you doubt yourself? Where you doubt yourself, and you know that you look at you are in a leadership positions, but in a leadership position, but do you get times or moments where you just doubting what you're capable of, even though you've managed to put yourself and accelerate yourself to such a high degree, but yet your self-esteem, or there's the syndrome that just you cannot. Today, I don't think that I'm good enough. And how do you build yourself up from that? When you have that syndrome, how do you build yourself up and say, okay, Kensani, like I'm already in this role?
And I think it's definitely, again, a woman issue. I can tell you this whole thing about we're going to be found out. We don't deserve this. We're not good enough. Someone's going to like find out you're not, you know. So I've got two younger sisters. And you know, my little sister, she's little, but she's like 26, but she's still my little sister. She's working as a graphic designer. She's a creative at an agency. And many times she said to me, like, I don't think I'm good enough. Like, I just feel like people will know. So many times I've said to her, Lulu, I can put any woman here, including myself, and they'll tell you that they feel like that. So it's important that women understand that feeling that you have is not just you. So do not be sick. It's not just you. Most women have it. And in fact, I think all women have it. And if they don't say they have it, I think they're lying. But you need to learn how to manage it. So part of managing it is recognizing that fear for what it is. Say, Mina, I look at it in the eye, go, and I know you fear. You're not like, right now, I'm not, you know, like, I'm not vibing with you right now. Like, so it's recognizing it exactly for what it is. And if you really are nervous about something, I cannot stress enough why preparation is important. I remember one of the biggest influences in my career is a Dutch guy called Kees Kruithof. He was the MD of Unilever South Africa. And I would watch him when he would like present to, you know, the board or the company, whatever. And it always felt very flawless, very natural. And I asked him, and he said, Kensi, I have practiced that speech 10 times. And when he's doing it at that time, you would actually almost think he's just naturally doing it right there. No, he has practiced. So when you do feel, and I can see someone actually, it's the imposter syndrome, that's exactly what it's called. When you do feel like that, you know, you've got something that, a big presentation, or prepare yourself to the nth degree, because that will give you as well the confidence to know that I'll be fine and I can do it. And it's something that I learned. And I realized actually, so I can generically, I'm the type of personality that can, I can flow with things. Sometimes I don't have to prepare. But in some instances, I have seen the quality of output when I've prepared versus when I haven't. And I've learned over time that you have to prepare these things. Success doesn't just happen because, whoa, I'm just sitting here and it falls in my lap. You actually have to work for it. So yeah, when you do feel like that, recognize it for what it is, imposter syndrome, and say, this is not going to be my life right now. I know I'm better than this. But genuinely really prepare for what you're about to do to give yourself the confidence that you'll be fine.
You're absolutely right. If you want, success comes at a cost, and there's definitely a cost you have to pay. I know for one, I'm trying to study. I'm trying to finish my honors, and what that means, especially still doing a 9 to 5, it means that I can't sleep, and that's the cost I have to pay, because I know that next year, no maganjan, I have to graduate. So there is definitely a cost to everything, and preparing. I mean, it doesn't come easy. Like you said, for some people, it's so flawless. Some of them, I have to wake up at night and just rehearse it, like, if not 30 times to get it right. And immediately,
I can tell you, those flawless that you're looking at have prepared. I can tell you for sure. Like,
definitely. Now, I want to know, you spoke about this gentleman that you saw him speaking, and I want to talk about, during your journey, there's definitely people who help you throughout the way. There's people that you look up to. There's people that actually shape you or mold you into the person that you become. I want to talk about mentorship. I, for one, believe in mentorship. I believe that we have to look at the people who've kind of walked the path, and they can teach us and share that knowledge to us in terms of, Nandi, this is probably how you should take it, or maybe you're good at this, so try this direction. How important is mentorship a thing for you? How important is it? Have you had mentors? And what is a good relationship with a mentor, between a mentor and a mentee?
So I can't say, I've not personally had what I would 100% call a mentor, but I have had a lot of supporters, and those supporters have been people, and the reason I'm not calling them mentors, maybe they are, to be honest, have been people I can turn to bounce things off. I mean, this friend of mine, the guy friend of mine, who got me to a point where I knew I had to build fearlessness, right? To get, learn from men. I don't call him my mentor, but I can tell you he is a person who, as I'm trying to figure things out, is someone I call and talk to because, I trust. But I've been exceedingly lucky, Nandi, that in every organization that I've been in, I've had someone who is a cheerleader for me. So even when I'm not in the room, I know that when my name comes up, they're going, Kensi, you know what I mean? At Unilever, it was Kees Kruithof, and he was the marketing director and then the MD. So to have, as a young Black woman, to have this Dutch guy really just support my career in that way was absolutely phenomenal. At Diageo, it was Sharon Keith, who's now in Nedbank, actually. So in most organizations I've been, I've had cheerleaders, and you do need cheerleaders, guys, because like I say, when you're not in the room, they need to be able to speak up for you and really just support you. I do, though, believe in mentorship. Like I say, in fact, one of the reasons I do these talks, so if someone asks me to do this, one of the major reasons I do it is because I want people to see other people who this for me is like mentorship, right? I'm looking at it and going, I can also achieve this, and learning and figuring things out myself, because I absolutely believe in that. I do that myself. I read a lot, although I read everything from like zombies and vampires to leadership books. So, but I do think these things are important. So, and then I personally then end up mentoring, especially a lot of young Black women. And to be honest, I'm open generically to mentor anyone, but I do think because as young Black women, we don't have as many of the role models outside of, maybe beauty queens or whatever. I think as Black women, we need more role models, more. You shouldn't have just, oh, you can only choose from 10. No, you should be able to choose from 1,000,000 of people that you can look up to. So if someone can put me as their role model in one person, I'm okay with that, because I think millions of us as successful Black women should be able to be role models for younger Black women. But as well, from a mentorship perspective, I do mentor, but I always tell people that I mentor that I don't run the relationship, you run it. You need to tell me what your goals are, how I can help you, how I can show up for you. And so don't say, oh, you don't have time for me. Because when you say, Kensi, I need an hour of your time and stuff, I'll give you the hour, but you must ask for it. So, so I really do believe in those things, because we do need people to get access to, broader number of people who can help them grow their own selves.
Definitely. And I'm just going to start wrapping up. I see Patrick is almost timing us now. It's I want to talk about the misconceptions, of leaders, especially women leaders. Please name any misconceptions that people, and you have really just proven them wrong. I mean, I've watched you speaking and I see how passionate you are. And at the beginning of the conversation, you spoke about how free you are because of the experiences that you've had. And I look at even how you dress, you're really just as a leader. And I know if you're getting, especially in corporate, I know people will be firstly, tattoos are not a thing. So what are some of these
8 tattoos?
You are really breaking all. So what are some of these misconceptions about how leaders should be, and how have you proven them wrong to say, you know what, you can be a leader and you can still have tattoos and you can still have this, it doesn't impact on your value or your output? You know what I mean? Yeah,
I don't believe leaders look a particular way, right? Especially look a particular way. And I mentioned this on an Instagram live interview about 2 days ago. So I walk into board meetings and exco meetings at the bank with my all stars, and I like dressing up now and then, but to be honest, I'm a very chill, relaxed person. And one of the things I have been absolutely clear about, right, when I decided that 6-month break, right, when I decided how I'm going to work, part of how I'm going to work is I'm going to be my authentic self. And what I found, Nandi, is that in organizations where I've been allowed to be me and be my authentic self, and I have lived myself like that, I have done extremely well. Because there's no baggage. There's no, this is what you see is what you get. And so, you know what I mean? And I sometimes can see some people react in a particular way, but I'm like, hey, that's your problem. As long as, my output from a work perspective is of a high standard and is what I have committed to the organization, I am going to be who I am. That also means, and I'm trying to manage it because my mom says I swear a lot. So I'm really trying to manage it. I'll just be like, F this, and stuff. So I've had to try, really good. And that's really about my mom saying, I hated Kensi. Okay, mom, so a lot of it for me is that, focus, guys, on what people are delivering. Don't focus on how they look, how they talk, what they wear. Obviously, people can't be rude to other people. I mean, there's just how we should work and respect each other. So as long as that's happening, don't focus on all these other silly things that have got nothing to do with what people can bring to the table. I don't care that you're wearing, I don't care. Just do the job, do it really well, and do you. I mean, let's just stop putting people in boxes and trying they must look a particular way. And even this, I put it on because I'm having a massive hair issue. I don't wear dukes or anything like that. I was just my hair is problematic. Let me put this little thing here. And I'm wearing my royal top, from Serena Williams, a hoodie. Be you, truly.
I love that. Thank you so much for that. And I think being yourself, like I said, you don't have to hide anything, and like you said, you perform best when you are yourself. You don't have to pretend to be somebody else. But lastly, the final question, Pat, what advice would you give to the future leaders, the next leaders, taking from the experiences that you've had, especially during this time? Like you said, this has been so profound, especially in your leadership journey. This is one of the massive areas where you've had to learn, what advice would you have for future leaders?
Yeah, I think, and this is even how I recruit. One of the first things when I'm recruiting that I look for is curiosity. I think you need to be interested. You need to want to know what's going on, why, where, you know what I mean? And part of that, unfortunately, does generically mean reading a lot, but it can also mean watching a lot of things, podcasts, all of that. Because you learn in that period, you learn more about yourself, so people must be curious. I actually, when my nephew, so I've got a 7-year-old nephew and a 4-year-old niece. My nephew is problematic. He asks me questions. I'm just always looking at him like, and I don't know anymore, But that's what I want. Be my 7-year-old nephew. Be curious. Want to know how, why, where, what. It's actually going to help you in your own personal leadership journey. It's going to help you be better at your job, actually. So the many things that I've had to, learn, because I'm setting up something within the business that I don't really have experience on, but I'm like, well, this is new. Let's learn about it and stuff. It's actually the best. It's what I recruit for. When I recruit, I actually recruit for curiosity. I look for curiosity. I look for energy, passion. You don't have to be like me, but I want to see a certain level of, there's a glint in this person's eye. And then I look for, okay, they know the job, skill. But there's many people that I will walk away from because of skill. Like even if skill's great, because I'm not seeing good energy. I'm not seeing curiousness, because curiousness makes me know that this person's going to grow and they're going to grow the job themselves, all of those good things. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Thank you so much. Be authentic, be curious. Thank you so much for such insight. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your passion. I think it's been a very insightful conversation. I think a lot of people were saying that this is a very great conversation, and I'm sure they're walking away with feeling very empowered, or feeling that they can actually also shatter these glass ceilings, learning from your journey and your wanting to achieve, but also learning that it's okay to take a break, and it's okay to focus on yourself a little bit. I think there's a lot that I've taken from it as well, that I in my personal life from that perspective. So thank you so much for this moment, the fact that we can actually have you on this live, on the finale of the Imbokodo edition. It's been absolutely lovely. Thank you to everyone who has been tuning in throughout this entire time. Remember, you can catch this episode on the Patton Brands social media platforms. My name is Nandi Jiyane, and also do follow my page at Women Leaders South Africa. But before we go, there is a competition that Patton Brands had run at the beginning of Women's Month, and I would also like to announce the winner, who is the winner of a beauty hamper. I think it's sponsored by Estee Lauder, if I'm not mistaken, but you are walking away with a wonderful hamper filled with many goodies. The winner is Pamela S on Instagram. Please make sure that you contact Patton Brands, or they'll be in contact with you to make sure that you get your prize. But before we go, I would like Kensani, just to put this on you, I don't know if it's any pressure, but we're coming to the end of Women's Month, and it's the end of this Imbokodo edition. If you could raise our glasses, if you guys have your glasses with you.
I've got.
Have a toast to women. Of course, you have some wine with you. Have a glass, raise your glasses, and if you could maybe share a toast with us and wish women well, and any parting message to the women out there in Imbokodo.
Thanks, Nandi. So I actually want to read an ode to fearless women by Nikita Gill. So an ode to fearless women: defined by no man, you are your own story, blazing through the world, turning history into herstory. And when they dare to tell you about all the things you cannot be, you smile and tell them, I am both war and woman, and you can't stop me. So here's to fearless women. May we be them, may we raise them, may we support them, may we be their cheerleaders. Thank you, Nandi, for having me.
So much. Thank you so much, Patrick, for this wonderful platform. Again, we're looking forward to having more dialogues where a women take over your space and have these much needed conversation. But thank you so much to everybody who has joined us. It's been a really wonderful time. If you missed it or you didn't catch half of it, you can catch it on the Pat on Brands platform, on social media, on YouTube specifically. You'll be able to see Kensani again and take those notes down if you missed them. So thank you so much, guys. It's been lovely. Thank you so much, Kensani, and have a beautiful, beautiful rest of August and beautiful Women's Month.
You're amazing, Nandi. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in into the Pat on Brands Dialogues.